You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. This is your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And it is eventually, it looks like it might be here. I'm not sure. I can't tell. It's the mountains of Arizona is famous for these false spring launches of warm weather. It was nice in March, and then it got cold. Now it's been cold, windy this week, and all of a sudden it looks like we're set up for a pattern that you could actually start planting even some of your pseudo-ready spring things like tomatoes and zinnias and marigolds and geraniums and things that can take some light frost, not a freeze, and could keep growing. I'm not sure. I personally am waiting to put many of my tomatoes in. I'm not committing all the way for my summer garden because I think it could still frost and be a challenge. And so I am planting a few things inside of plant protectors or walls of waters, another name you'll find them by. They're cylinders that form a about the size of a 5-gallon bucket. And when you fill these cylinders up with water, they collapse over top of your very frost-sensitive plants like basil, like cilantro, and it will protect them. But the main benefit of plant protectors are it warms the soil up so they start to root faster. So I'll put a few things in early like that because, let's face it, I'm a host of a radio show. It's broadcast all over northern Arizona. And there's some bragging rights to gardeners. You gardeners, you understand, right? So you got to be able to pick that first fruit and talk about it at your Pinochle Club, your church social, your Rotary Club. You're on the airwaves and say, I just picked my first tomato and it was, so good. It just melted in your mouth. I could feel the flavor. Store-boughts just aren't any good, but when you pick them fresh, I just loved picking my first tomato. How are you doing? So there's some competition amongst gardeners, and so I'll put a few in, but I don't want to put all of them in because it's even with those plant protectors. If we get a harder freeze or something happens, it can still zap the top of that plant. And so I want to be more strategic with my planting. Lettuce, I got more kale and I know what to do with onions are coming up. Everything's growing. Your spring things love all this weather this week. Your summer things would not have liked this past week. So you want to be strategic. I think you could easily plant trees. In fact, trees, it's the best time to be planting fruit trees and shade trees and ornamental trees. A lot of folks are coming in right now with a red bud and what's the other one? Crab apples. So there's a beautiful pink to fuchsia pink type of tree in bloom, a short tree, maybe mid-teens, 12 to 15 feet tall, that's covered in flowers. Those are going to be red buds. Those that are more just a brighter reds, purples, very intense, deep, rich colors, those are going to be your crab apples. Downtown Prescott is famous for their crab apples. Along Gurley Street, Montezuma, and they're going into color. Just all of them are in color. The purple leaf plums, they're done. They bloomed last month, and now they're leafing. So you'll see basically it's purple leaves, and then they're starting to, it had some pink flowers. They're kind of being overpowered by the purple leaves. There's still some flowers, but you're seeing the purple on them, not the pink flowers. Bradford pears at the higher elevations, the ridgeline, 6,000 foot and above, they still have flowers. The lower elevations, they're leafing, so the white flowers are starting to be covered up by this beautiful glossy green leaf. The red buds and the crab apples, they're in full bloom. They're beautiful. It's a great time to be planting those types of plants. I would say your evergreens. If you've got a new construction going up next to you and you want to put a privacy row in, it's the ideal time to be planting Arizona cypress and your junipers and your cedars, those things that form a dense wall of green so you never have to look at your neighbor again. Privacy screens or windbreaks. You poor folks out in the Coyote Springs and Paulden areas. Oh, I feel for you when it was this last week. Wind was just ferocious. Well, you can put a wind shear, a wind screen up. There's nothing better than a row of Arizona cypress growing tall. Deodar cedars growing tall to cut that wind down. It cuts the wind down by 50%. It just cuts it in half. But you got to plan ahead. You got to plant them now so they'll grow so you can have some protection next year and the year after and thereafter. So it's a great time to be doing that. Arizona cypress is an actual native. It grows wild for you folks over in let's say Kirkland, Hillside, Skull Valley, the southern side of the Bradshaws and Mingus. A lot of those juniper-looking plants, they aren't junipers. They're cypress. They have a more blue hue to them. There's going to be Arizona cypress. The difference, the only way I can truly tell myself between the native junipers and the native cypress, junipers put on a little seed, little blue berry basically, and the Arizona cypress puts on a little pine cone. It's like a little bit smaller than a golf ball, like a ping pong ball size. It's cute as can be. And I don't think the cypress has as much pollen or issues with allergies as the junipers do. So it's a better choice. Yet once you get them up to size, you can cut them off of all care and they'll just go on their own. Be happy thereafter because they're a native. Natives, we're starting to stock up with natives. We just had some new agaves come in, some new yuccas. Oh, beautiful. Most stunning red yuccas I have seen. They were in full bloom. I say past tense because they come in and when they're in bloom, they're like candy. If you're shopping native plants, you see a beautiful yucca come in and you're going, whoa, that's what I wanted. That's it. And they were big and bushy, 5-gallon plants. They were like 30 or 40 bucks. I had some silverberry. Ellie Agnes is a tremendous native. Now, this is an evergreen shrub, grows up above head high. So it gets, 6x6, 7x7 head high and width and thick. Loves to be trimmed. I think silverberry is a better choice than red-tipped photinia. Red-tipped photinia gets powdery mildew, deer eat it. It's got some issues. And guaranteed you're going to come in and need some help controlling those issues for your red-tipped photinia. And you just don't want to do that. You put Eleagnis or silverberry is the common name. Out there it naturalizes. You care for it till it gets up to size. You cut it off of all care. Horses don't eat it. Deer don't eat it. Javelina, leave it alone. It's low water use. It's thick. It's evergreen. The fragrance of the bloom is so intense, it will fill up an entire backyard. And if you put in a whole row of them, the entire neighborhood might have this beautiful, just sweet vanilla scent that floats across the neighborhood. That's how I tell. That's how I spot it in the wild. I go, oh, what's that smell? In spring, it's going to be the silverberry. We had some beautiful specimens come in. They're probably, hip high or so. They're not thick yet, but they will fill in. The reason you want to plant them now is you're putting them in, they'll start to root, and they'll start to double in size as you put them in before they start elongating and pushing that new growth. They also have a new variety called Gilded Edge Silverberry. We figured out how to put gold edging around the leaves, so now it's got the traditional Arizona blue leaf, but then also has this golden. So if you've got a dark fence or a really hot block wall, you need something bright there, go for the Gilded Edge Silverberry, push it up to size, put it on the drip system, fertilize it until it gets up to size, and then cut that part of the system off or plug those emitters, and it will keep looking good from that forward, and no care. A haircut every once in a while, and that's it. Ellie Agnes, great native for Arizona. Lisa Waters-Lane's in the studio with your garden questions. Don't change that dial.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, also known as the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain landscapes.
Hi, Ken here with the plants of the week and our pink lady, Gara.
One of the prettiest ladies you'll ever meet. Her flowers are the color of pink lipstick blotted on a white tissue.
Gorgeous and carefree, her knee-high flowers sing in the slightest of mountain breeze and a hummingbird's dream diet, all for $12.
She dresses up the mailbox and loves driveway heat, and only found at Waters Garden Center.
1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love ladies in pink, they love to shop.
Hi, Waters with the plants of the week and our Tinkerbell lilac.
This dainty beauty is a true dwarf, maturing to only hip-high. It's small by lilac standards.
Arching branches are loaded with masses of dark red buds, which open to bright pink flowers with a spicy fragrance.
Low care, no pruning, and easy on the water, this local shrub is about to explode into color, all for under $25.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love spicy lilac, they love to shop. In a new place, it's difficult to know who to trust, how to get help at the house, and which nursery will simply do what they say they'll do.
At Waters Garden Center, we're here to help, in the landscape at least.
Our team of plant ambassadors know your neighborhood, the plants that add color, increase privacy, and add fragrance and beauty.
And we can show you exactly how to plant locally, or we have teams to do all the work for you.
We are Ken and Lisa Lane, and we guarantee our plants will live up to every promise here at Waters Garden Center.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And we have Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week and she shares your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? And it has been busy. It's lots of stuff going on. So, Lisa, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Always good.
Exciting week this week.
Yes.
On Wednesday, we had the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. We host a networking event every year at the Garden Center. We rotate. We belong to 3 chambers of commerce. We should probably belong to more, but Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, and Prescott. And so last year it was Chino Valley. This year it's Prescott Valley. Mm-hmm. And so we had about 200 plus. It was innumerable.
Packed.
Parking. It was packed. Yeah, I invited everyone. I thought, well, people are busy. Half the people won't show. No, on Wednesday it was everyone showed. So if you were a business leader, manager, owner, came out and just networked and helped. These are small mom and pops, basically. Mm-hmm. The big guys belong. But what I noticed during the downturn is your Chamber of Commerce mixer. That was the very first thing the banks and major stores, drugstores, groceries, that was the first thing they pulled. They're controlling expense, no more chamber membership. Mm-hmm. But the mom and pops, we almost rallied more because you're having to help each other do better. HR, marketing, just all these things that we do as small business owners. And so they came up last night. And so it was well received. Politicians came. We had Jack Smith and some of Justice of the Pieces and folks. And,
Justice of the Pieces?
It's an election year, so they were all out petitioning, getting signatures. It was kind of fun. So I invited them. I said, come. It raises the bar when you've got your mayor. The mayor of Prescott Valley was there. The council was here. So anyway, well done, your team. The place was beautiful.
It was beautiful. Fortunately, the wind had stopped for a day or two.
Yeah.
We were able to sweep up and clean up, put things up right. But a lot of fun. I could hear. I was kind of down manning the store, making sure things were okay down there. But you could hear the buzz of people talking. It was like very noticeable. They're a very talkative crowd.
Well, these are the word of mouth people. So if you want to spread the word of mouth, talk to your folks that connect at these, and then it spreads to the pinochle clubs and the Rotary clubs and the church socials and the golf course. It just spreads.
What I like about it is really people just seem to be relaxing and having fun. And I think having it in a garden center where there's just flowers and nature, and I think people feel a little more relaxed and they just kind of open up a little more. And
a lot of these folks, they're office people, so they're connected by 4 walls. They can't get out. And so you can go into the crowd and just 5 steps out, you're into flowers and outside the greenhouse, and you can breathe and it's fresh air. And I think it was providential. It was God kind of let us have a nice night because it was perfect.
It was.
Whether you're spiritual or not. I think sometimes the stars do align and make it, you can give God the credit or not. And it just makes it all work. But it was a perfect evening. Well done. So your team, if you want to get your house completely just perfectly clean, organized, throw a party.
Have a party.
Get ready for it. That's what we did. So we're ready to go. The Gordon says it's beautiful this weekend because of last Wednesday. So well done. Proud of the team. Also, if you tuned in, you all are awesome. The Waters team rocks. So we should go garden questions maybe. Just we get a little bit of garden content, not just talking about ourselves and our team and
but
the
it's
community.
So fun to talk about us.
I never run out of words when I'm talking about myself.
Well, probably true. Yeah. Okay, Don and Chino has a question with all this ridiculous wind we've had. His honey locust, 2 fairly good-sized branches, split but did not break all the way through. He wants to know, is there a way to splint them and save them, or should he just prune them off at the break?
Yeah, if you can, cut them off and encourage the next sucker or growth or bud or to grow. Sometimes it's right down the middle of the trunk. And so then we get really, really technical. So our attorney, Paul Roberts, you guys are great, downtown Prescott, one of their elm trees broke or something. And he calls me going, Ken, you guys planted this 20 years ago. I want it fixed. It's a huge tree.
Yeah.
So I went out and I've wrangled it up, got the branch up. I actually drilled a hole right through the tree, 2 bolts, bolted the thing down with big washers, bolted it and brought it together. What we don't know when you do that is how strong is it? Is it as strong or stronger than it was before because the metal and the bolts? Or did we weaken it because of the drilling? And the health of the tree won't matter, but did we open it up for insects to get down in there and then cause issues or for disease? There's some variables that you just don't know. Whereas if you cut it off flush, if you can, do that because you know what you're getting exactly from that point forward. If it's a bad thing, come in. I know it's 10 miles. It's 20 minutes to get to Waters from Chino Valley. Well worth the time if you want to try to save and splint that thing. Come up and talk to us, and we can help you walk through what to paint. You want to use some black pruning paint, maybe even wrap it with some tree wrap, splint it, bring it together. We can help you save that limb if it's a big limb. If it's a small limb, forget it.
Cut it off.
Just cut it off. If it's a main trunk, that gets tricky because what do? Cut the whole head of the tree off? We want to spend a little more energy on that. Come talk to some professionals that we can walk you through.
It seems like some trees are definitely more brittle than others. Yeah. Our neighbor has a willow tree that, holy cow, that thing, talk about brittle.
Yeah. If you look at it wrong, if you look at it cross-eyed, it'll start dropping limbs on you. It's the trashiest tree. I would never, ever plant a willow tree ourselves. And I would never, ever recommend one to my friends or customers coming in. But some folks have this memory of childhood where they just have to have a willow, but they're short-lived. They'll kill you if they get a chance. Big limb will drop on your head whenever possible. It's trashy. I never put it by the front door.
Yeah.
It's majestic and flowing, but I wouldn't have one myself. In fact, our house had one.
We took it out.
In the front yard. Within week 1, we moved in. Week 2, cut down the willow.
Can you imagine the size of that tree if we'd left it in?
It'd be ridiculous.
Holy cow. I think there's a place for them in a big yard or if you have a lot of space. But yeah, there's way too many planted, way too close to many people's
But why
houses.
when you can have a sycamore or a maple or a birch? Or there's so many great choices. Tulip trees. There's so many great choices that aren't. Anyway, we should get to the next question.
Okay, we better move on.
We go on and on about opinions on trees.
Carolyn Prescott, she says, my trumpet vine that I put in last year is just looking dead. Shouldn't it be leafed out by now?
No, it should not. It's too. Ours in the nursery rack, we just had a fresh shipment. Beautiful, tall trumpet vines. They're just barely starting to leaf out. I think fertilize those plants that look a little rough. So if things are leafing that like spring, there's some things that love this wind and cold we had this week. They're leafing out, going celebrating. Finally, it's winter's over. We're here. Look how pretty we are. And some are going, I am not interested. It's not it's not 95 degrees out yet. I'm waiting till the soil is warm. It's really about soil.
Right.
And so the soils, they have not warmed up yet. And so as the daylight gets longer, the soils warm up. Your trumpet vines, your grapes, your desert willows, your figs, crepe myrtles, these things that love summer, they'll start to wake up and just flush new growth. Some of them won't be until the middle of May. You're a month away before they leaf out. So whatever you do, here's how to test. Scrape the bark off the trunk, off the branch. If it's green underneath, it's alive. It's just waiting for it to get warmer. If it's white or brown underneath, that branch at least is dead. I would fertilize it, water them, and see if you can't get them to wake up a little sooner. I've had some customers, I'll dig them up, bring them in going, you sold me a dead plant. It's all here. I'm going, throw it back at him. Go plant this thing. Put it back on the ground. What are you doing? It's just sleeping yet. It's not ready. Yeah. It's a summer plant, not a spring plant. You have to have
patience.
Patience and gardening kind of goes together, doesn't it? The Mountain Gardeners with Ken and Lisa Lane. Be right back.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
In a new place, it's difficult to know who to trust, how to get help at the house, and which nursery will simply do what they say they'll do.
At Waters Garden Center, we're here to help, in the landscape at least.
Our team of plant ambassadors know your neighborhood, the plants that add color, increase privacy, and add fragrance and beauty.
And we can show you exactly how to plant locally, or we have teams to do all the work for you.
We are Ken and Lisa Lane, and we guarantee our plants will live up to every promise here at Waters Garden Center.
Hi, Waters with this week's Plant of the Week and our black satin blackberries.
A thornless, milky smooth blackberry that loves the Arizona sun and produces the most deliciously sweet, deep blackberries.
Soft pink flowers cover the nimble canes and then yield hordes of the most delicious, juicy blackberries a gardener could hope for.
Ready to plant in just $19 and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love to grow the sweetest berries love to shop.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and garden advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
Now, before Lisa came into the studio, the first segment, top of the hour, we ended on native plants, and thought I'd just take that a little further. There are some tremendous natives, and I'll just start with evergreens. Did you know that Douglas fir grows wild in the hilltops of Arizona, especially around Prescott, Flagstaff, Williams? That conicolor fir or white fir. If there's a spruce-looking tree up in that 6,000 foot level and above, it is a fir. Very tough plant. If you kill either one of those, it will be from overwatering. They'll grow at their lower elevation, but they might be a little more dependent on you on watering to get them started till their root structures get large. And then they can go, there's some spruce and fir and pine that just naturalize, and they've been on abandoned lots or old homes that haven't been cared for in decades, and they look fabulous. You just have to treat these natives, all of them, whether it's a cactus or whatever, Elaeagnus or Gaillardia, perennial flower. You need to get them rooted and get them started. Right now, they've got a small bucket that we water those every few days, and the tree is dependent on us to care for them. You put that root ball in the ground, and that care doesn't stop just because you took it out of a bucket. You've got to get those roots from that root ball into the surrounding soil, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet into the surrounding soil, and then it becomes drought hardy and tough, and it can go on its own. But it takes about 2 seasons before you get a native plant from the nursery into your gardens and then root it out into the surrounding soil. So what they say is native plants the first year, they root. Next year, they creep. And then the third year, they leap. They just go, woo, I'm happy. I'm fully rooted. Let's go. And so it takes at least 2 seasons for that root ball to become fully formed and dependent. So if this is your third home or second home, and you're going to plant some natives because you're never here. I just want something I can throw in the ground that will grow. Maybe cactus, maybe agaves. What else? There's not a lot. Choyas, there's not a lot you can put in there because they are dependent on you until they root out. There are something we can help you hone in and get as close as you can, but that's asking a lot. Have a nursery plant with a beautiful plant with a small root ball to just go by itself from the second it gets in the ground. Can I also mention watering? You are not watering a plant. Let's say you put a new plant in the ground. You dug your hole, you amended the soil, you added the 3 things you need, mulch, food, and root and grow. You got it all set, but now you're watering it in. I was just transplanting some new bear grass, a native evergreen grass that grows throughout the higher elevations of Arizona. Planted 3 of those in my backyard because I want this prairie-looking, beautiful evergreen grass, pretty white flower. What I did is I dug my hole and I filled that hole up. Not filled it. I went about halfway with water. So I had my hose ready, filled it halfway. Then I took that bear grass, for me, it might be for you pampas grass or new juniper, whatever, popped it out of the bucket, massaged the roots, and then I set it down inside that watery, mucky, bottom of the hole filled with water mess. I'm hydrating not the plant. This is where new folks get confused. When you water or irrigate, you're not watering the plant. You're watering the soil around the plant. If you only water the root of the plant, the surrounding soil is so dry it will wick away that water and just leave your plant wanting. What you need to do is water the plant and then extra so that surrounding soil holds some moisture, but then mainly it doesn't do damage to that new plant that you put in the ground. I see a lot of folks, they have stressed plants. They just put them in the ground because they were watering the plant. What you really want to do is dig your hole, fill it part way with water so you're watering the surrounding soil so it receives more moisture. Then you plant your plant. Then you top off the rest of that plant with moisture. At the very, very end, I have a bucket of premixed root and grow. It's a rooting hormone. It's something we make here at Waters Garden Center. I love the chemistry and how to make plants do what I want, do my will. I'm looking to get them to root into that surrounding soil. And so for you seedling or cutting growers, you're taking a house plant and you dip it in this white powder called root tone. Then you put it in your seedling mix and then it roots out. You can take cuttings. You can take a spider plant or a house or a pothos and you can multiply this like crazy. Root and grow is that stuff only in liquid form. And so when I get it all planted, I'll fertilize it with the all-purpose plant food. I'll pack in water it in real good, and then I'll water it in finally. The final step is I'll water that plant in with root and grow. At this point, you're watering the plant, and the plant will absorb this mild nutrient with rooting hormone, and it will send out new root hairs faster than if you didn't use root and grow. I'll use that root and grow every couple of weeks until I see the plant stabilized. You'll know because new growth will be coming out, flower buds will be forming. You go, oh, it's happy now. Then I'll cut it off of that root and grow rooting hormone, and then the fertilizers, and it's just growing at that point. I never give root and grow again, but the fertilizers do its work. But that's how you plant something in the yard, native or otherwise, and we have success. Lisa Waters Lane back in the studio. She comes each week and just shares her garden thoughts. I think today is going to be something poetic, spiritual.
That's you. You're the poet.
I do like the wordsmithing.
Yes.
Anyway, I do love the way that you and your team put together the perennial department. So we're famous for our perennials. Those plants that come back every year. Pea and perennial both start with P. And so we just had a whole bunch of sun-loving plants. We had a whole bunch of shade-loving perennials. Then a whole other house, greenhouse, just full of nothing but annuals, flowering color stuff. But you reorganized all of the flowers by theme. So you've
Yes.
got pollinators, hummingbird, butterfly plants. You've got animal proof or animal. What's the sign say?
Resistant.
It says plants, animals, leave alone, something like that. And shade lovers, cottage garden, blistering hot sun. Used thematically. I was out there helping customers. It was so much easier
Oh, yeah.
to help a customer. In fact, I had someone going, yeah, I want some plants that attract butterflies. I go, see that table right there with the yellow and blue flowers? Those are all pollinator plants. They're made for butterflies and hummingbirds. She goes, where? I'm going, it's right there. The 2 tables over right there. I'm going, the sign. Read the sign. It's a poster. It's butterfly and hummingbird plants. So anyways, then she went, oh, well, that's great. She was mesmerized by all the flowers. Didn't see the poster. You bonk, hit your forehead on it.
See the trees through the forest.
Oh, so this is your segment.
Yes.
I'm here for you, my love.
You are.
How can I be there for you?
No.
You're not even going to be here this week. You're going off to visit grandkids. I'm stagging it at home with me and the dogs.
You and the dogs. Keep each other company. You'll like it. You won't have me nagging at you.
You're the person that likes to be meditated by yourself. I like people. If I'm in a room full of people, I'm happy.
Well, come to work.
Well, yeah, I'm doing that. She goes off and has our oldest grandson turned 7. So you're going to go down and celebrate, probably surprise him going, it's here. Here's the presents.
He'll be going, where's the presents?
I know. He sees you.
That age.
Later it'll be, show me the money.
Show me the money. Yeah. He's a sweetie. He has the most beautiful blue eyes and this blonde hair.
Yeah.
He's a cute kid.
Yep. He screams, I'm from Poland. Strong Polish roots, which we love.
His mother
Our daughter-in-law
is
100%. You got to love her. She's just the greatest thing ever. Full fireball.
She is. I wouldn't mess with her.
So we should share some garden info.
We should.
Folks.
I guess.
If we have to. Can't wait to see how El Paso is when you get back.
I'm hoping the wind's not blowing.
Oh,
there.
my gosh. Dust bowl.
The plane will probably just blow itself over. It won't need to fly.
Oh.
Okay. That being said, I thought we would talk about some of the new varieties that we've gotten in of certain plants. So in geraniums, everybody feels like, another geranium. They're red, they're pink, snooze. They have a new one out that is called Cherry Night.
Oh,
geranium.
good choice. Yeah.
And it is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So the flower on it is like a real dark fuchsia pink color.
And speak to us in male terms. You mean cherry color? I can relate to that. But fuchsia, what's it called again? Cherry
Night.
Cherry Night. There we go.
But even more dramatic than the blossom is the leaf. So the leaf has a variegated leaf. The majority of it's like a burgundy color, dark burgundy, but it has a light green outside edge to it. Yeah. So just the whole thing together is just so dramatic and really just, you walk up in the greenhouse, you're like, oh, what's that?
Laura Hamblin, our HR attorney, she helped us put our employee book together. She bought one at the chamber thing on Wednesday and said, Ken, I want to give this away. Could you promote it? I'm going, no, I'll promote that and you. So showed it up going, no one's ever seen this before because it had just come in.
Brand
2
new.
days ago. Just came in. So it was exciting. It is an exciting new geranium. If you've not seen it, if you're not a geranium grower, look at this. You might get re-excited about geraniums again. It's beautiful.
I loved it. And I'm not a huge geranium fan, but I loved this one. I snagged one before we even got it on the table. Snagged it. So definitely check that out. And then for perennials, you perennial lovers, I got some lupin in. This is a new variety of lupin. A lot of people from Midwest, East are used to seeing lupin. We don't see it as much.
Well, there are some
here.
wildflower lupins in the higher elevations of the mountains. So folks from the White Mountains, they'll know exactly what that is. Or up around the Peaks area, Williams, they'll know exactly because it grows wild.
Right.
That's a new variety, though. Oh, my gosh. It was so bright and colorful.
It is. So it's called Staircase Orange. So there's one that has a really bright orange blossom to it. And there's one that's called Staircase Dupline rose. Why Dupline? I
rose.
have no idea.
Someone, probably a guy that, he's probably French. His name's Dupline, and he named it.
Oh, Dupline named it. And that one's definitely...
Don't be such a Dupline. Sorry, we're having too much fun.
So that one's a real dark pink, rosy color. And most of the lupins are usually blue, purple, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So definitely new colors for them. And the other great thing about them is they are re-bloomers.
Yeah.
So instead of just that springtime bloom, they're going to bloom through the season.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just figured it'd be the same old 4 or 6 weeks done. Then it's a green blob. A perennial that you plant once comes back year after year, and it repeats blooms over and over through the season.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
every yard should have one. That's beautiful, and that's a shade plant, isn't it?
I would definitely give it some shade, filtered light,
I'm gonna go
kind
look
of
at
thing,
that.
dappled light under other trees. I think would be beautiful.
Yeah,
but definitely a new one. It's going to get, when it's mature, probably about 24 inches by 24.
yeah,
So
just below
it will-
knee high or so. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, it'd be nice in those perennial beds or under other trees.
In a container by the front door, so it repeat blooms.
Mm-hmm.
You plant it once, use it as an anchor, and then it comes back every year, and you accessorize with
Right.
impatiens and begonias and coleus and other stuff.
We did that with our Ito peony.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, have you seen that thing lately?
I know. It was all snapdragons. This is a huge pot. It's probably 2
Yeah.
feet across. Nothing but snapdragons. And this huge, like almost tree peony, erupts to the middle of it, shoves the snapdragons aside and says, "Move aside, boys. I'm showing off." The buds are golf ball size right now. They're huge.
I
It's not in
can't
bloom.
wait to see it
I
in
know.
bloom. We're going to have to take a
exciting.
picture when it's in bloom.
It'll
'cause
be
I-
Instagrammed. Trust me.
I think it's going to be over the top, crazy good. So nasturtiums, a lot of people like the nasturtium. I can never say it. Nasturtium.
You've been drinking, honey. It's
No,
early in the morning.
Not at all. But
Nasturtium.
Nasturtium. Most people are used to the orange
Yeah,
one, kind of the
right.
common. They've come out with a burgundy one that has a yellow center
Oh,
to
neat.
it.
Oh, that'd be striking.
I think they call it, I might be wrong. I was thinking they called it their flamethrower series, but now that I think I'm like, flamethrower, that's kind of weird. But it's absolutely gorgeous. And they have a scarlet one that is a bright, bright red. Boy, it stands out. So those two are new in the nasturtiums, which people are always looking for. They're very
It's
popular
a
out in the
perennial
garden.
again, right? So they come back or they reseed or...
I think they're annuals.
Okay, gotcha. For some reason, I thought they reseeded or did something where they came back. We'll have to research that and
Now
share
you
it
got
next
me
week.
thinking about it. I don't know. They came out with a couple of new petunia series. They call them Crazy Tunias. They both have a creamy white center to them. And then on the outside edge, one has a very purple edge
Oh,
to it.
that's different.
And the other one has a raspberry pink edge to it.
Yeah.
Very, very pretty. It certainly stands out because it's got enough white in it that you see it, your eyes drawn to it, and then you're like, well, what's going on with that? So really pretty. One to definitely check out.
Almost always petunias are reversed. They always have the white edge on the outside with the dark color inside.
Yeah.
They reversed it. How do they come up with this stuff? That's amazing.
Oh, they sit around in laboratories and think about things.
Actually, they do. We get to tour the laboratories. It's freakish. These guys in white lab coats, doing tissue cultures and crossing things over and pollinating, and not really creating. They're hybridizing.
Hybridizing,
not DNA stuff.
Yeah,
whatever.
no
It's not
GMO stuff.
It's not Frankenstein
Yeah.
stuff. It's new birth. I don't know. How do you describe that without freaking people out? Ken and Lisa Lane, thanks for sharing lots of new colors, new flowers here at Waters Garden Center. New this year. I'm even excited. And I don't get excited about flowers anymore. I've seen it all, but there's some new stuff coming out.
Very pretty.
Be right back with the Mountain Gardeners with Ken and Lisa Lane.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Growing up in Prescott, we knew spring was here when my grandmother's lilacs bloomed. I'm Lisa Waters Lane, and my grandma would be thrilled with the new Bloomerang Pink Perfume Lilacs at Waters Garden Center. New pink blooms fill the landscape with fragrance of grandma over and over again in the garden. Mine bloomed 3 times last year, making spring last well into fall, all for under $25. Lilacs like Grandma used to grow, and better. Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Ouch! Oh man, another rock! Hi, I'm Rusty. You know, the shovel you're destroying trying to dig that hole? Sure, I get it. We got these beautiful plants at Waters Garden Center. Waters asked if they could plant them for you. But no, you had to do it yourself, even though they would plant, deliver, and guarantee your plants for 2 years. I hope I don't end up like that old pickaxe. Ouch! Prevent yard tool abuse. Waters Garden Center. They plant, deliver, and guarantee.
And welcome back to The Mountain Gardener. Now, one of the benefits of having a studio right here in your garden center is when you've got smart people. Like Andy Dannenberger is the guy in the West for Fertilome Volunteer Purchase Group. Basically, garden centers got together and we formed our own co-op. And now we can custom make certain products, bug killers, fungicides, fertilizers, soils ourselves because we've got some better buying power. In fact, we set up our own company called Fertilome, or Volunteer Purchasing Group. It's a co-op, true farmers co-op. And Andy is our go-to guy in the western half of the country. You're controlling the West. Did I get that right?
That's right. I am.
I mean, my goodness, how many miles you logged, and how did you show up here in Prescott, Arizona? I don't know, but huge honor. And so I go, we've got to get Andy in the studio and bleed his brain of some knowledge.
Yeah, so. I've been in this industry for 35 years, believe it or not, even though some people, say, you don't look like you're almost 50, but I am. But anyways, yeah.
You don't look like you're almost 50. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm the senior Western I was sales manager for the West Coast, so I travel a lot on the plane, in the car, back and forth. But, customers are special to me, so I love coming to Waters Gardens, and I love coming to all the independent nurseries and garden centers all over the Western United States, and actually all over the country. And our company sells to 20,000 dealers all over the country.
I did not know that.
We do.
Wow.
And so, and you're right, VPG is a patron-owned company. So all of our dealers and our lawn and garden distributors that we do business with are our owners of our company. It's set up a little bit different. It's a C Corp based out of Texas. Mm-hmm. We're a little company that sits on 650 acres in northern Texas. We have about 10 acres under roof. It's a manufacturing facility. So, yeah, we're busy, and right now it's springtime, and we're having lots of fun.
What I love about Fertilome and your products, high yield, Fertilome, and Natural Guard, those are the three lines that you kind of manufacture and create for certain segments or certain patrons. Mm-hmm. We personally here at Waters Garden Center, we prefer the Fertilome and the Natural Guard lines, although we do have some high yield products. Yeah. But I just like the packaging, the quality. Mm-hmm. What I really like about your company, the reason I jump on board is you're based out of Texas, and you understand the southwestern type of soils, the alkalinity, whereas so many of the other bigger companies, maybe Scott's or Ortho or Miracle Grow, some of these other big folks, they're national. They're actually focused on the eastern seaboard. That's where all the bodies are. That's where all the gardeners are. We're almost left alone here in the Southwest. No one wants to make products that work with our environment. But you all do. You actually have products that are custom made for us.
Yeah, out of the three brands that we have products that are specific to particular regions in this country. And so we'll have, weed killers that are specific to kill dollar weed in the South, which we don't ever have that here. Yeah. Or we'll have specific fertilizers and nutrients to control the alkalinity or salts in the soils out in the Southwest. And so, we do a lot of things that are specific for particular regions. And that's important. That's important to the dealers because we've listened to you telling us that, out of the 325 SKUs that you make, we need something specific for our particular region. So we do that.
So what are the trends that you're seeing? How are things changed? So you're handling the West. Mm-hmm. Can you hone it into the Southwest? California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Western Texas. What are those trends you're seeing? What's going on?
Yeah, the biggest trend right now is our Natural Guard by Fertilome line. Okay. Natural Guard is a line that was only maybe a couple pages in our catalog. Now it's expanded to 12 13 pages in our catalog. So now we have a full line of organic fertilizers that have microorganisms and super microorganisms in there and bacteria, some really good organic fertilizers, expanded to different types of spinosids and BTs and insecticidal soaps. And so what we've really done as a company is go back to our suppliers and our manufacturers and recreated those relationships with them to get the best and the newest technology out there, and put it into our catalog. And that's what's really expanded a lot, because there's pockets all over, and especially in California, here in Arizona, where people are going that natural guard or natural and organic route.
Yeah, we're one of those. Of course,
Right.
we're influencer, leading edge kind of folks.
Yeah.
And I feel I have a responsibility as a radio host, and that as a larger garden center in the region that we can influence folks to go more natural, safer,
Sure.
organic. So one of our company sayings is Waters Garden Center, natural, safe, organic. And so I use that all the time. I think there's a trend there where customers, even some of the older boomers that are raised with, their post DDT folks, but they're still thinking chemicals. We just need the numbers right. They don't realize what they're doing to their soils. I think we're changing that. People are starting to see what they're doing to bees.
And technology has gotten a lot better now, because years past, 20, 30 years ago, natural and organic products just didn't work that great. And so people always resorted back to the old organophosphate type product to kill their bugs. But now technology has gotten so much better. Everything just works so good on all your pests and all your disease or weeds. And it's safe for pets and your kids. That's what's great about it.
You don't think of a pesticide or a fungus product or fertilizer as having new technology. You think of iPhones and iPads and laptops, but it's funny to hear that coming across new technology. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that a little bit? What is that? Is that molecules? Is that mad scientists with large glasses and white capes creating
Sure, a little
things?
bit.
What
a
is
little
that?
bit. Well, I mean, technology has gotten a lot better, because you're exactly right. They've mixed molecules or chemicals together, and safe ones together to create a better product for you. It's like spinosad. Well, there's a lot of spinosad products out there. Well, we happen to have a spinosad that has a soap. So it's a spinosad and a soap. So you're able to control insects instantly, but then also still have that bit of residual with the spinosad, which is also safe to use at the same time. So when you have both of those together, that technology in itself, you have a superior product, and you're able to control all the pests in your yard, and it's safe and it's easy to use, and it safe for your pets and your dogs.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I love about your company.
Yeah.
You're creating these things that not just other companies just use spinosad, which was, as I understand it, was a Dow chemical scientist going on vacation in the Caribbean.
You're
He's
right.
bored. He goes into the forest and he starts finding out, going, hey, why aren't there any bugs here? There's no insects. He picks up some soil, takes it back to his lab after vacation, and figures out this new product called spinosad. Mm-hmm. He introduces it, and it works great on caterpillars and some of these bigger insects. Mm-hmm. But now you've blended that with a balanced soap, and all of a sudden you get knockdown of aphids, thrip, and the bigger stuff, caterpillars. Brilliant technology. I never thought to think of it as technology, but blending the molecule or that new found thing, whatever he's founded, I guess it's a molecule, with soaps that you've already had, blending those things together and coming out with a new product. That's magic. Now we've got a safer way to kill insects.
Right, exactly. And then that's what we're doing. So we're looking at all different types of ways of doing that and creating our relationships with those suppliers and those vendors again to create those products for
I also
use.
like about you simplify the label. And I know we have to have the EPA standard. If it kills something, it could be water packaged in a bottle. You have to say, use it with caution. It might kill something.
Absolutely.
You've got to put those standards. But other than that, you simplify just how to use the stuff in a pump-up sprayer or ready to use or hose-in sprayer. You've got this relationship where it's just easier to use. It's easier for us to explain how to prevent a dollar spot or in a lawn or a leaf, or how to kill an ant. I love your come and get it ant
Yeah,
killer. It is the best stuff for fire ants.
Fire ants, yeah.
And it works.
And that's a spinosad product too.
Way safer
Yeah.
than let's say a Monterey or some of these other products. Way better and way safer. That's the magic that we can go to.
Even though it has the caution or warning labels on there, that's always something that you always have to put on there based on what the federal government tells you to do. But, and we too always like to educate people. Hey, you know what? Anytime you have beneficial insects in your yard, even if you just spray water like you said, you want to just be careful.
Sure.
Always read the label, follow the directions, and you know what? You're going to have a safe and healthy yard.
So Andy, with Fertilome Volunteer Purchase Group or Natural Guard by Fertilome, you've got several product lines.
Right.
Get in the studio with us. Thanks so much for sharing. That is very informative. We'll be right back on The Mountain Gardener. Don't change that dial.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
New to the area with your dream home on the inside, but surrounded by boring? A castle surrounded by rock is just so bland, but we can help.
At Waters, we have a team of plant experts ready to dress up and decorate even the most boring of landscapes with something fresh, new, and evergreen.
Plus, we deliver and plant for you.
Designer plants with the experts to help you beautify your new abode.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Hi, Lisa with the plants of the week and our single blue pinyon pine.
This new blue variety lends to a tidy appearance in a bold, tough tree.
Highly desirable for its edible pine nuts, so eat up.
Let it grow wild. Or this 10-foot tree can be shaped for the holidays.
These perfectly formed trees are just $85 and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love native pines and pine nuts, they love to shop. Now, when you come in and buy a tree or a shrub from us, from Waters Garden Center, we are obviously caring about, it's not just the plant. We're not just selling plants. We're selling gardening experiences. And so we've made these, put some real premeditated thought into planting guides and how to water guides. And so we've created this sheet, this 2-page sheet, 8.5 by 11. And every person that buys a tree or a shrub gets one of these sheets going, hey, thank you for supporting Waters. We appreciate it. Hope to see you back again. And here's a planting guide on how to make that grow. And on the back side is how to water it. And it's got our warranty and everything else on it. And we go through thousands of them because we want our customers to be more successful. If you bought a plant somewhere else, another competitor, a huge box, we don't take offense to that. Come in and we will give you it's free. Just ask for them. We'll give it to you. If you're planting a whole row of grapevines or hedgerows or privacy screens or a new fruit tree orchard or evergreen hedge or a new spruce tree, you just want this perfect Christmas tree looking plant out there. A new lilac. They're all in bloom right now. You want one for your own yard. Please get one of these. We want you to be more successful. That's why Lisa and I do a radio show. Just to help folks. It's a relational thing. It helps people garden better, smarter. It beautifies, we hope. If you tune in regularly, it helps to beautify northern Arizona. It's different than from Phoenix. We are not broadcast. I mean, you got to be north, Anthem and north before it really gets broadcast. And you're going all the way over from the river to the White Mountains. This information is for us. If you have a 4-season climate, you're seeing some seasonal changes. This information is very, very helpful, I think. Next week, we have a garden class on Saturday. This weekend, it's on native plants, how to pick them, how to plant them, how to encourage them to grow, and then how to not overwater them. And then how to take care of the ones that are in your own, how to identify native plants from perennials, that is wildflowers, to shrubs, to trees. We're going over intense. Laura Galding is our designer. She goes out on site and sketches out plans for folks. She helps pick plants for our customers. She's teaching the class. She is our foremost native plant expert. Tremendous wealth of knowledge. Next week, Lisa and I teach growing your own groceries. So it's the week right before, about the first part of May. You start putting in your vegetable gardens, the ones with the fruit. So your tomatoes, eggplants, cucumbers, pumpkins, they all start going in May and June. That's when you plant. So April 28th, it's grow your own groceries. And so we'll go in depth. How do you pick the perfect tomato plant? What varieties? There are some that are better than others. There's some that just will not do well, and they'll do fine for you in other parts of the country. Up here, high elevation, they're not happy. Well, so we're sharing that, how to get the most fruit production, bushels of cucumbers or beans. We'll go over all of those details next week, and it will be standing room only. I mean, come early, bring a chair, because we stock up the entire nursery with, I think this week I told the buyers going, you're holding us back. I want unlimited. So I want every tomato, every size. I want every pepper, every size. I want bring it on, because we're preparing for that class and the season that follows. And it looks like the weather's going to be about right for that. So you'll have good pickings for great plant starts. Seeds will be up, more organic seed, more non-GMO seed will be in, more plants will be in, and so that you can start the planting season right with the knowledge to do it right. That's next Saturday, April 28th. Of course, Lisa and I camp out here at Waters Garden Center. If you need anything throughout the week, come visit. Say hi. Let us know you tuned into the show.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for garden advice right for the higher elevation of Arizona, with local garden expert and the Mountain Gardener himself, Ken Lane. Listen in every week for Ken's tips, tricks, and techniques that are guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Hi, Waters, with this week's Plant of the Week and our black satin blackberries.
A thornless, milky smooth blackberry that loves the Arizona sun and produces the most deliciously sweet, deep blackberries.
Soft pink flowers cover the nimble canes and then yield hordes of the most delicious, juicy blackberries a gardener could hope for.
Ready to plant in just $19 and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love to grow the sweetest berries love to shop. New to the area with your dream home on the inside, but surrounded by boring? A castle surrounded by rock is just so bland, but we can help.
At Waters, we have a team of plant experts ready to dress up and decorate even the most boring of landscapes with something fresh, new, and evergreen.
Plus, we deliver and plant for you.
Designer plants with the experts to help you beautify your new abode.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
You've been listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to the area. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener.